A very warm welcome. Thank you so much for staying with Look Up TV. This is The Big Idea with me, Nancy Nalima, and today we focus on parenting. Now, schools have been closed, well, for just about 10 days, and students and pupils are at home. And so the changing dynamics of parenting, and especially right now during the COVID-19 period, and also the uncertainty and very shorter holiday periods than before. So what are some of the changes in parenthood at this time? We'll be looking at that. And with me on set, right next to me is Allan Lawrence, life coach. Karibu.
Thank you so much.
And Mwai Njoroge, principal, Jabali Schools.
Thank you.
Welcome, gentlemen. So I didn't say you're a parent as well.
Yes.
Very relevant for this conversation.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And since you are the principal, we'll just start from there. The schools have been closed for 10 days, you said, for about 10 days. And this is a holiday, okay, break. We'd call it a break as they try to normalize the school calendar. But students are still at home. So then it is important for, parents have to be aware of the same, that they're going to be home for the whole day, a longer period. So what are some of the things maybe you have talked to parents about? Do they have assignments? Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you, Nelima, for that question. Yes, these are hard times, I would say, for parents and even for teachers. Teachers are feeling fatigued so far. They're actually longing to have the March holiday, which will be a bit longer. But we were able to give students some guided assignments, not work that will keep them the whole day. And therefore that calls for parents to be engaged with their children, to be creative in how they handle the children, because one, there is not just the teachers who are feeling tired. I believe even the students are going through the same experience.
Right.
And therefore the issue of managing our emotions is quite important, because again, even for the parents, they are paying fees for 4 terms, and
I have had those complaints.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
So you can imagine everyone is having their own stress, and they all need to be managed. So I think it's upon the parents and the adults in the house to just manage themselves and realize that the stress they are going through, the children are also going through the same stress.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and Allan, this is where you come in. Yes. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the order of how our activities used to run, how the school calendar used to run, and there is a lot of stress. Everyone is stressed, as Mwalimu has said. So then adjusting is what we have been talking about since the beginning, but we can't stop talking about it because things are unusual. Yes.
The reality is, for me, I think and I believe COVID is here to stay for the longest. So it is now us to readjust and plan ourselves around it, because it has come to a point whereby we have to redefine and refocus most of the things, because most of the time we have been doing things at a high speed. So I believe COVID came at that particular point whereby, there is always something positive out of everything. So we try to look at it from that lens. Maybe it was a point for us to stop a little bit and refocus more on ourselves, refocus more on the relationships with the children, with everybody around us. So on the other side, it has a positive impact to a point whereby people now have to reconnect at that level of deep conversations and getting to know each other even more better.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the COVID-19 pandemic has done, exposed just the weaknesses in different areas.
Sure.
And of course, even in our infrastructure in terms of maybe construction, building, computers, there are so many things that have been exposed during this time of the COVID-19 period. And so in schools, Mwai, would you say then that it is a different time, and there are some things that have been pointed out that now you're focusing on more than you were before?
Definitely, yes. A lot of changes have happened, and even us as teachers, we've been encouraged to think outside the box, because like now the children are not doing the physical trips that they were doing. So you have to look out how do we have those virtual trips and have the same goal achieved. Again, expanding our classes just to ensure that the social distancing is happening. That is also something that is quite challenging for most schools, especially private schools and even public schools. I can tell you that most public schools, the children are still congested there because even if some classes were built, they were built with the data of the previous classes that were there. But now some parents have downgraded and they can't afford to take children to private schools. And therefore the same classes that were built ended up being filled with those students who came from the private schools. And therefore it's a hard tussle, I would say. Yeah.
And you know, parenting, the modern day parenting has always come under scrutiny. And even more now during the pandemic, when children maybe have to stay home longer, then there is the issue of gadgets. There are the tablets, the TV, laptops, computers. So is this something that you are consciously you're aware, and what are you doing about it as a parent?
Yes, actually, the students, we thought they liked gadgets. We thought they liked gadgets, but we've discovered with the Zoom classes, Google Meets, and all those things, even the virtual trips, they are still asking, when will we do these things that we used to do previously? How are we going to go back to the normal life? And that's why I would say that even during the COVID season, the children were happy a bit that they closed. But after they opened, the celebration was quite great. The children were happy to see their teachers, they were happy to be in school, and therefore these gadgets can only serve us so much. And what I would say is that let's not overemphasize the use of gadgets. People need each other with or without these gadgets. We need that physical interaction with one another. Yeah, and therefore that will be able to serve the children right and even meet their social needs.
And you've talked of virtual trips.
Yes.
How are those done, by the way?
People are using the Zoom apps, and also there's also those other gadgets, the 3D gadgets that people use. And you take children where you would like them to visit and all that, but it's not really serving like a physical experience. It's just like you watching news and the following day you've forgotten, you want to watch news the following day. So it's not really serving right the way we would want these things served. Yes, yeah.
But it's better to meet them sort of halfway.
Yes. We are meeting them halfway. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, again, I know, right?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of adjusting to do in terms of that. And for the students themselves, the pupils, Allan, how should they be handled maybe during the holidays? Because, of course, there are a few assignments. Then with the CBC, children are more involved even in activities around the house. Say they'd wipe the table, they'd take dishes to the kitchen and stuff like that. But now how should parents really be handling their kids during holiday and this very short holiday, so that there's a very delicate balance. You don't want to be so hard on your kids that you put them on a very tight program, but again, you don't want to be the parent that just gives them too much freedom that they choose to do what they want to do at what time.
I believe as parents, they need to reach to that level of they connect with their children even more. Because the moment they connect with them more, they buy into their world. You'll be able to understand that this is a child, and by so doing, you make them responsible enough, and you teach them that responsibility, or rather freedom comes with responsibility. So by that time, you connect with this kid, and I love the CBC system as much as parents are like, but the reality is it has helped the parents to be able even to connect and to be involved in the kids' education system, because we've realized most of the time the parents will be like the children to spend time with the helps in the house or the aunties, but now here you realize that you have to be involved with your kid. So by the time the child is coming from school, you'll spend more time with them, be it with their homework and everything, so that they can be able to know that their parent is appreciating what I'm doing.
Right.
So it is a point of parents getting so much involved and connecting with the kid. Yeah.
And the CBC, of course, it has been a topic of discussion for the last few months. and it involves a lot of physical activity, given even by the assignments,
Yes.
the making of the scarecrows and and the etc.
Yes.
Yeah. So would you say then that with CBC, children when they're even away from school, that they'd be more involved in activities generally?
Yes and no. Reasons being, as you all know, as long as it's an assignment for students, the perception is different. Yes, the children may engage to some extent, but remember, it's just the children that have gone for the holiday. The parents are still working. So that monitoring may require an adult to guide, and that's why as teachers we're able to give some assignment that would ensure that these children are still doing this activity,
right,
whether they visit their grandmothers in the village or their uncles somewhere in a different place. So that, I think, is what I would say that would address the issue, as long as there's an adult working with the children. But if you just leave them, they will be happy to go out and play soccer, go and meet their friends, be on phone, just doing Snapchats, Instagram and the like. And this is proving to be a challenge. This is proving to be a challenge. And what I would say about CBC, as much as we are saying is actually an all-rounded curriculum, if we don't handle it well, we may end up losing one side. Either we overburden the parents or overburden the school and fail to achieve the goal that we wanted to achieve with the CBC. So it has to be well managed. That's what I would say.
Okay. And while we're at the CBC, the rollout now at grade 5.
Yes.
So would you say then that when you compare the 844, of course, and the CBC, would you say that the students themselves, they're now more active, more attentive, more aware?
That is a very dicey question. Because one, it depends also on the teacher. There are teachers who have refused completely to leave the 844 system of delivering content to the old and focus on the new issues that we are supposed to be addressing on CBC. And therefore, yes, it is actually something that has made children be more attentive, but on the flip side, it also works against some teachers, because they still want to be the one guiding, teaching, and giving content. There's no place for that discovery. So it requires a mind shift for it to be fully effected. And I think that is why I'm saying we need to do something, even for us as teachers, where we are encouraged, where it's not just a matter of, just grades, but we want to see the results, where this child is becoming an independent person, is a child who is able to think critically. And I think for me that is the major concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And parenting during, of course, these uncertain times. One thing that comes into mind when students have gone for holiday is the rising number of pregnancy cases. So I don't know, as a school, is it something that you address before the holidays begin?
Yes, actually, for example, in our school, we usually do some psychosocial support, where we sit with the children, and just sometimes it's based on gender. You find girls having a talk with female teachers, and sometimes we have girls having a talk with the male teachers, just to hear what is it that because it's the issue of students getting pregnant is out of curiosity and some concerns that have not been addressed. Emotions are not bad, and I'll say again, whether you're born again or you're not, emotions are not bad, but what you do with your emotions is what determines the kind of a person you are. Right. And therefore, we are not telling them the feeling you have towards the opposite gender is wrong. No. But what we are saying is that how do you manage yourself with all these feelings so that then you don't find yourself in a wrong position. And that is what we've been doing. Again, being a Christian school, we also take them through some scriptures just to guide them based on the scriptures. Who are those people that found themselves in some of these compromising situations? How did they get out of them? And those that didn't get out of them, what were the results? So that they're able to make an informed decision. Yes.
And what about as a parent? How do you address it?
Now, as a parent, one of the things I would say is that you have to be a person who is reachable. Do not be this parent who, when children ask questions that revolve around their bodies, you start rebuking them, you start, condemning them.
Or shy away.
Yes, or even shy away from responding to such. What I would say is that as parents, we need to be confident enough, and whenever these questions come, do not be quick to respond. Call yourself a meeting and ask yourself questions. Is this appropriate to say to this child? Because I believe as a parent, you have children in your house of different ages. So how do you address these concerns so that, again, you're not giving too much information, but also at the same time, you're addressing the needs that are arising from the child.
Right.
Yeah.
And Allan, the rising cases of pregnancy, and especially during this COVID-19 period, have been, they've been surging.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've always been talking about, but it keeps happening. So where is the gap? What is it that perhaps we can do different?
I think the discussions have been there, but how have you been having the discussions? Because parents are never real with their kids, because it has the topic of emotions. It has been like a taboo to some extent. They don't talk at it from that length of like they don't get real with the kids. That is why the kids will be able to get out there and experiment it. But if you get real with the child and tell them that, you know what, it is not bad to have emotions, as the way Mr. Mwai is saying, because emotions, they are good and at the same time they are bad. It's just like a wild animal. You either tame it or it can tear you apart. So it is a point of now parents and everybody involved having this serious conversation and getting real with the kids, knowing that how do I talk to them and when should I talk to them? Because if the timing is not appropriate as well and the way you convey your message is not appropriate, the child will end up experimenting it. Then the other thing is exposing the children to the right environment. The right environment, be it mentors, be it the kind of content they consume, because the children act and react based on the kind of information they get exposed to. So I don't mean you police them, but you give them that level of freedom and insist to them that freedom has to come with responsibility attached to it. So you just have to make them responsible with the kind of environment and everything that concerns them, so that they be able to make sound and wise decisions.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Just to add to what he's saying, the other thing I think parents need to be confident enough to engage their children to know who their friends are. Because you may have control over the gadgets and all these things, but you don't know your child's friends.
Who they interact with.
Yes, because that is a group of people that will have either a positive influence or a negative influence, but parents need to know. For example, if my child is a friend to so-and-so, do I know their parents? Do I know what they believe in? Because some of these things, you could be the only parent who has decided to move in the right direction, and you are living in an environment where the other parents are feeling these things are happening everywhere,
right,
and therefore our children can engage. Yeah, so I think parents need to be keen on who their children are interacting with. Yeah. And
on that social angle, we know that students or children generally, they don't interact to the level that they used to. You know, a lot of games, and even in school, a lot of things have changed just in order to curb the spread of the COVID-19 virus. So how is it maybe at Jabali schools? What is the alternative?
I wouldn't say that there's anything beyond normal. Basically, is just to talk to the children, but also engage their parents. We've been having meetings with parents, just to inform them on any little change that you're seeing in the children. Some children will even say, I'm stressed, I don't know what to do. You ask them, what is the stress about? Are your parents still together? Then they will say, yes, they are still together, but I find like they are so busy nowadays and all these concerns, and therefore you try to reach out to the parents. And sometimes even when you're having these meetings, you'll do them on Zoom. So, and sometimes people will switch off the camera. You can't even tell whether you're being told the truth or not. So those are challenges that sometimes we are going through, but the ball still goes back to the parent, being creative, because when the children are in school, there's a routine they are following, and therefore it may be a difficult situation for the children to go off completely, but when they leave school, what happens after school?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and socially, how do parents then explain to their children that we can't go for maybe the many trips that we used to before the pandemic? Yeah. You know, because there's a way they were used to, say, the trips.
Yeah. I think it all boils down to, as much as you are a parent to your child, as a parent, are you friends in the first place? Because once you're friends and you're friendly to your kid or to your child out there, you realize that it would be so hard to convey a message because you are into their world. Somebody once said that if you are parenting a 12-year-old, you must come to their level. You be like now, like 13 years old. You become like just a year older than them so that they can be able to know and to distinguish some levels that this is a parent and this is a friend to me. Mm-hmm. So once you are friendly to them and you've been all through in their lives, it becomes so easy, because I've always asked parents and pleaded to them that it's better for your presence into the kid's life other than your presence. So because your presence has been there at all given time, right, it won't be hard for you to tell them that, you know what, all this and this is happening. We can't go back to the normal routines we used to have, so we have to readjust. But other than when you are not a friend to your kid, you just come from nowhere and you tell them that, you know what, we are not going to have this, the child will rebel. But if you have been having this closeness and hanging out, you tell them that for this moment we have to do away with a few things here and there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'd like us to talk about mentoring, but I understand we do have to take a very short break. This is The Big Idea. Nancy Nalima here, don't go too far.
To grow your business, broadcast your sermon, share birthday wishes, make funeral announcements, produce adverts and documentaries, then book and advertise with us today by calling us on +254 700 893 542 700 893 542 or email us on sales@luke-up.tv.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile and having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday. It's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Did you know the world's top icons and legends who have made history are dyslexic? Dyslexia is a learning disorder that is characterized by difficulty in reading due to problems with identifying speech sounds and learning how they relate to letters and words. Dyslexia affects areas of the brain that process language. Symptoms include delayed speech, learning new words slowly, and a delay in reading. These legends made it, and so can your child.
make those payments and take dinner out the freezer. Enjoy your day off.
Hey.
How was your day?
Great.
Did you pay the bills?
Abby did it.
And the plumber?
Abby did it.
Send money to your mom?
Abby did it.
Who's Abby?
Bank on WhatsApp with Abby, your 24/7 digital personal banker. Another digital innovation that gets things done. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Did you take dinner out the freezer?
Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. Join the Look Up TV movement now. Now.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with Look Up TV. The hashtag is Big Idea at Look Up TV on Twitter, Look Up TV on Facebook, and you can also use the SMS number 20374 to engage with us in this conversation. Today we are talking about parenting in these changing times. With me on set is Allan Lawrence, a life coach, and Moin Joroge, Principal, Jebali Schools. And just before the break, I had mentioned mentoring. It is an idea that we're acquiring slowly by slowly. And so how early should we introduce mentors in the children's lives? Yes, Mai.
Thank you. Mentorship begins at 0. That's what I would say. Reasons being, as a parent, you need to walk a life that the children will be able to emulate. Secondly, as parents, sometimes we think what we tell children, that's what they will do. But the reality is not. What they will do is what they see us do. I'll give a good case in point. My son is only 3 years. When I sit, he wants to sit like me, and he will tell the mom, I'm sitting like daddy. Mm-hmm. So if I told him not to sit on the table and I sit on the table, then definitely he will do that tomorrow. Whether I say it is not right or not, but you see me doing it, so I should be able to define why this is not right and why that is right. But again, I believe mentorship is an intentional thing. You have to do it, but the person who is watching you or the person who is following you may not be very comfortable with what you're doing. But because these are the rules of the game, you have to stick by them. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and Allan, so you are a life coach. Yeah. Have you had the opportunity maybe to guide young people?
Yeah, basically that's what I've been doing for the longest. Like I had a trip back at home, and I visited a number of schools to speak to the students over the same. So, and I believe each and every one of us has a responsibility to do it, because 100 years ago, we were not here. 100 years to come, maybe we will not be here. But the thing that will count is the kind of legacy you've left behind. Because, truth be told, Mr. Mwai, it's not about the amount of money you have in the bank account, it's not about the car you drive. But one thing that remains is how many lives have you touched? Who can just sit back and be like, were it not for Mr. Mwai, were it not for Nelima, were it not for the other person, I won't be who I am today. So what counts as a legend is the kind of legacy you leave behind. We won't remember you for the things, but the impact you leave on the surface of the earth. So for me, I live by that understanding that each and every one of us, as long as we are breathing, there is something positive you have for the world. And whatever process you are going through, there is someone somewhere who really wants it. And be ready to teach them.
Okay. And when mentoring,
yeah.
Where can we say we drew the line between, because of course you guide them, but there's also, you can influence them to something. Where do you draw the line so you don't, you don't plant your ideas
into them?
Yeah.
you need to inculcate it into them that, you know what, I can be telling you these things not from a point of perfection, but from a point of, and even before that, be ready also to show them your scars. Because it is so easy for us to sit here and narrate about our successes. But if you can connect with someone, showing them the mistakes that you've made, and let them learn from the mistakes, it becomes easier. But most of us, we want to pretend that all is well, that we've not made mistakes, and yet these children are in the same state. There are some mistakes they will be able to make, but if you open up to them and tell them that these are some of the mistakes, they'll be ready to avoid. So give them options. Because the moment you teach someone, let your character inspire them and do all those things, you will not need as much as possible or force your ideas onto them. You give them room and you give them space for them to think and for them to see things from a different perspective. So you give them and let them understand that the decisions they have to make, it solely depends on them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yes, just to add to what he's saying, human beings are generally inquisitive.
Yeah.
And therefore, you may be doing something, and then the person you intend to mentor has a different opinion. Do give them room to discuss or even to showcase what they have. So that is also an opportunity so that you don't raise just puppets, you know. These people should be able to make their own decisions. Sometimes you just leave them to make those decisions, and then you can discuss the repercussions of the decisions that they have made. So with that, then you're not narrowing them to think in a certain way. You're actually encouraging them to think beyond what you're giving them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. And as we're offering that help, that much needed help and guidance, so even the way they see, say, careers, because traditionally there were careers like being a doctor, being a lawyer, being an engineer, that is jobs with big titles. So how different is it now when parenting? What do we tell the children about what careers to go for? Just how do we paint the picture?
Okay, thank you. One is about the passion. What are you passionate about? I know in this country we've had doctors who are doctors today because they were just book smart, but that was not their
Right.
the passion that they had. You are actually directed to do things, and that works against us as a nation. So what you're passionate about, you can even do it for free. I keep telling people, if I was assured that all my needs would be catered for, I can teach for free, because that's my passion. And we need to just first identify what is your passion. Secondly, what are your abilities? Because you may have a passion for something, but you're not able to do it. So with that, then you're able to pursue your goals, and you're able to serve the community well. And because whenever we are driven by money as the major factor, then what happens if there is an opportunity for you to steal, you'll steal. So I would encourage our teachers, I would encourage our parents, just push that passion, because when you're passionate about something, that is what will bring wealth to you. The Bible says again that your gift will create room for you before kings. Therefore, if you're gifted, if you have, and you see what you're gifted in, you work hard to perfect it.
Right.
But if you don't have a gift, you're just focusing on these things because you know you'll make some money here and there, then you'll not be able to sustain it for long. Yeah.
Okay, and chasing passion. We have artists like the late Michael Jackson. We have R&B singer Beyonce. And when you look at their story, they have parents who pushed them beyond. And like for the Jacksons, it was a bit much that it became a problem to the Jacksons socially. So as the parents are helping their children to chase their passion, again, how much is too much? How much should they push and how much should they just hold off? Yes, Allan.
The way Molim is saying, whereby you should not just let them pursue passion just blindly. have a point of you understanding your child and look at their capability and abilities and expose them to the right mentors, expose them to the right information. Tell them that, you know what, as much as you're pursuing passion, school and studies is very, very, very important, because minus that passion, minus everything, do you have even the purpose? Because once the child is pushed, and not pushed in a bad way, but they have that sense of understanding the importance of education and academics, they'll be able to know that as much as I'm passionate about this one is here to complement me, because we are having, I like the direction we are bringing. We are having artists, and for example, we have artists who are even good in boardrooms, you understand? So as much as we are pushing the passion and as much as we are doing all these things, let it be like a supportive system for them, even to be geared more towards their studies. Yeah.
And what about for the parents who want their kids to live the dreams that they didn't manage to achieve? Because there's that. That's why sometimes it becomes negative, because the aggression is too much. You push them. No, you have to train and you have to train, because I didn't get to be a football player, but I can see that you have it. So I'll keep pushing it even way beyond the limits.
Thank you. I think one of the greatest mistakes we do as parents is to push children because we didn't do well. In any case, we should guide them through our mistakes, not to repeat them, so that they can become what God has intended them to be. The reason why I'm saying this is because we can all be doctors. Three of us could be doctors, but my passion in the same is different. Yeah. We can be teachers, but what I teach and what you teach are very different things. So you can become these, but remember, God does not make photocopies. So everyone is an original person, and we need to accept that, because if again we are pushing these children because we didn't do well in life, we are going to break them, and they are going to do it for us. I've had children say, I did this degree because my parents told me to do this, but I'm going to do my other degree because that's what I wanted to do. So they have fulfilled the parents' wish, but they had their own desires. So as parents, it's a hard balance, but what I would say is that just ensure that your child is following the right things that they desire to do and that they are gifted to do, and your work is just to support your work. And we need to remember that we are just stewards. These children, after 18 years, we may have very little influence in their lives, and therefore, when we remember that we are just stewards, that God has entrusted us to take care of these children, then it will be very, very easy for us to know. Because again, we'll also trust God to guide us, to guide us on how to guide these children, and therefore it will not be hassle on our side. I know it's easier said, but it comes with a lot of commitment. That as a parent, you have to connect with God, and you have again to connect with these children to know really what is deep down in their hearts.
That's the way Mulumi is saying.
Yes,
like personally, I did the degree just to please my parents. I was like, yeah, because they really pushed me. Then I said, okay, why not? Because I didn't want to be disobedient. Then later on, I was like, I have to follow now my path. So you realize that if they could have supported me at the very, very first, like after I discovered what I'm passionate about, I think I'll be very, very far. As much as I'm not regretting, but I believe you also, as much as you also need to listen and understand more and connect with their child more on what they are passionate about, and support them, advise them where necessary, without you imposing your thoughts, without you imposing what you really want, not need, like what you really want them to achieve.
Right.
Yeah.
And the question about time, parents should spend more time with their children. So, but how practical is it? Because when you have to deal with traffic, Mombasa Road, for instance, people are, you have to count your 4 hours, 5 hours in a day that you're going to spend there. So how practical is time, or is there a different way the parents can be there? It doesn't have to be at 4 p.m. with their children in the house, but now how can they spend time with the children even during this very, it's tough economic times, so even maybe work longer working hours and even the many side hustles?
I think the best way is just to be intentional, because no one is so busy. It's a matter of priorities. As much as you're investing for them, you also need to invest into them. that you be intentional that from this time and this time, there is no standard, but just to be intentional out of your busy schedule, take time and spend time with them.
Okay.
Thank you. I think the issue of being available, I want to look at it in two perspectives. One is where you're physically available and you are not available. And as I stated earlier when we were starting, is that you are present at home, yes, but you're busy working on your gadgets. You are doing things that, you know, even when children come to ask you questions, you can't respond. And maybe you got at home at around 4 p.m., you were at home, you're in the house, yes, but were you there for them? So that is one aspect. The other aspect is where you are physically present and not just physically present, you are emotionally connecting with them. You can get home at even 7 p.m. and the children sleep at 8, but that 1 hour is quality time. So I think for us, what we are looking for here is quality time, and we need to just encourage our parents to just be available and connect with the children. Decide, I'll switch off my gadgets. Just assume your phone was stolen as you are getting to the house. You can go to any shop and start buying the phone. Switch off the phone. Be there with the children. Sometimes even switch off the TV. You may have wanted to watch something. You'll catch up with it later. So just switch off those gadgets, even play in the house, do all those, you know, those nasty things that may look nasty with your people that you supervise there. Crawling on the floor with those children, you know, doing hide and seek in the house if it's that big. If it's not, tokeni nje, do those things out there, run. You know, yeah, because there's no one who will substitute you in the responsibilities of upbringing your children. Let them think you are the boss at work and see those videos and feel bad. But you, in your children, you are just a father.
Right.
Whether you are the president or a watchman. Thank you.
And right now we have a lot of failed marriages. So it only means that child custody, you know, there's a whole that issue, and children are growing with either of the parents. And of course, it has an impact on how they grow up socially. So Allan, how would you say children who are in such a situation, how should they be raised?
If, let's say, a marriage is not working, remember the children, especially once the children are in the picture or a child is in the picture, it takes a high level of maturity, understanding that the difference it was between you and I, and it is not about the child. If I'm responsible enough with my kid, I'll ensure that by all means we co-parent, by all means that the child gets, because this is an innocent soul. They have got nothing to do with us. We are the parents, yes, we are the custodian, but you never know who the child is tomorrow. So by all means, be supportive to the child. For the sake of the child, ensure that the child is by all means comfortable at all given point. So you cannot be talking, but that one does not neglect your presence in the upbringing of the child. Even if you guys are separate, create time, co-parent. Do not just be a deadbeat father, or do not just be a mother by the virtue of you just being a mother, but be involved in the upbringing by all given point.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Thank you. That is a hard balance, a very hard balance. As much as the children may be feeling the love of both parents, even before I make my comments, my plea would be to those parents that are living together, do whatever it takes to live together. The person who suffers here is the child. Because maybe you may never share with that child what made you separate, but the child will definitely feel the gap. And as much as sometimes mothers feel like they're more appreciated by the children, the reality is that children love both parents. I'm saying this out of a personal experience. I underwent that separation when I was in class 3. And up to date is an experience I don't like remembering, as much as my dad is gone. But the reality is that the feeling was not usual. My mom would create time and sneak in to just see us because we decided to stay with our dad. But I tell you, it was not an easy experience. We knew mom loved us 100%. We knew dad loved us 100%. But the reason for the separation was a nightmare to us. And what I would say is that if, as a father, there's a behavior that you're doing that can make you separate with your wife, stop it. If, as a mother, there's something that you are doing that can make you separate with your husband, stop it. Because the person who suffers here is the child. And I know both parents love the children, but the issue is, what are we doing that will keep us apart? Beauty is deceiving, that's what the Bible says. and therefore, age together.
Right.
Yeah.
And even as we conclude, discipline, the question of discipline. From how I was brought up, I'd say there's a lot of caning, but things are much different these days. I know even in schools, if you cane, if you use corporal punishment, it could be a case. So how we discipline children has changed over the years. What can we say then is the best way to discipline? Yes, Mwalimu.
Thank you. I thought you would go first. Yes, okay, no problem. I think we believed corporal punishment was the best way of disciplining children, but it varies. Let me just go back to the Bible. Whose responsibility is it to discipline the child in terms of beating? Is the parent. But for us as teachers, we have different ways of managing this. There's timeout, there's denied privileges, right. and again, they're able to compare with the rest. If I'll be taken out to do some activities that other children are not doing, that may sound very unkind, and they don't like that. The other thing is just having candid talks. They know if that's how the school policy has been, children don't expect to be beaten, but they know these are serious actions taken against them, and they don't like them. Maybe being made to give a speech about something, if it's for the older children at assembly, and explain why this is not right. They don't like it because they know, if I'm the one doing that presentation, definitely I'm the one who did the mistake, and the rest of the children know that. So these are, they may look mild, because when we were growing up, this hata ungefurahi sana being given such an activity to do instead of being caned. Yeah. But today it's such a serious thing, because I think even the children, they have also been exposed, and they know what it means to stand in front of others and explain some of these things. And again, they know when you're finishing class 8, something can be written in your certificate that may not be very nice. Yeah. And therefore, they want to protect their legacy. And they have had people did these things now because of the social media. That someone did something 5 years ago, but it has come to haunt the person later. So these are some of the realities that we are talking with our children about, and they fully understand some of these things. The other thing is just inviting the parents and telling them, this is what we expect you to do, and sometimes even asking them to spank the child in your presence. So they don't like that. Sometimes when they are being spanked by their parents in front of their teacher, is such an embarrassing experience. And they would rather ask, can you just write a note and my parents will deal with me at home. So that's a different approach. Yeah. But these things are working. They're working. Yeah.
Okay, Allan, and so choice of the discipline method and its effectiveness.
I just remember, for me, I remember the way my parents used to cane us at home. That was something else. It was attempted murder. Yeah, that's what people go back and say it was an abuse. Yeah, it was.
We got used to it, but to some extent, a lot of times it was abuse.
Exactly, and it didn't, to some extent, it didn't work well especially for my brother. We realized later on my brother was rebellious. Why? Because he was trying to alifika mahali to a point whereby ameshapigwa mpaka to that level whereby he's used to it.
He's been hardened.
Yeah, he's been hardened.
Yeah,
exactly.
Finish your business, I go.
My brother will do some things in the house, then you come, he'll be like, I don't care, after all, I'll be beaten. So he was just used to it. So basically for me, what I think, let us have a point of understanding your child even more. Maybe this child is rebellious. There are some things they're trying to run away from. So even if you impose some level of punishment onto them, you won't help them. but try to understand what really works unto them. And especially once the child is growing, instill the level of responsibility and involve dialogue. I don't mean that akifanya tu makosa from nowhere, you just, but at a point whereby understand them even better. Involve even the teachers, whereby get to know, like, what is the best way I can handle my child in a better way. Because remember, you are just here for a short period of time in his life or in her life, but later on he will be exposed to the world out there. So before the world teaches them, in your own capacity, in your own level as a parent, involve even the teachers, because these teachers spend quality time with the kids. They know even them more than the parents. So for me, I believe let's reach to that level of as parents, initiate dialogue and try to involve other people into the lives of your children.
Yes, maybe just to add a little, the other thing I keep saying, don't, apart from those children that are quite very young, maybe 2 years, 3 years, actually even 3 years is actually a child you can have a discussion with, but 2 years there, maybe they want to touch something, you may spank just one, because for them that's how they are responding. But where they start now having conversations, before you even instill any form of discipline, you need to take the child through the process of understanding. If they don't, they are going to be rebellious.
Right.
So something may look, and I think even us as adults, we need to have that place where we say, when do I breathe and do the counting? Because it's a reaction. It should not be a reaction. It should be a response. You've done this and these are the consequences. So you will be able now to guide the child. You will be able to take the child through, and the child will be like, okay, I think I deserve it. So when that point gets there, the children then take this discipline issue positively.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and finally, maybe in just 10 seconds, what is your idea of parenting in these changing, uncertain times?
Mine is just to let parents and everybody be of good cheer and be involved in the upbringing of every child. Each and every one of us has a responsibility. If at all we think about the next generation, we have a responsibility to play. It's not about the teachers, it's not about the parents alone. It's all as a collective society, because if I'm responsible enough, you are responsible enough, he's responsible enough, and everybody is responsible, I believe we are going to have a better society. It only begins with myself. Am I that person? Am I doing what I really want to see?
Okay.
So it's a question of I.
Yes, Moya, what's your idea of parenting in these uncertain times?
My idea is that, let me just go back to the scriptures.
Okay.
The Bible says that train up a child in the way in which he or she should walk. And when that child is grown, they will not depart away from those ways. Therefore, it's an intentional thing, and you don't train people when they are closed or locked up somewhere. They have to be engaged in the real field. And I think a good casing point is this story of Jesus in Luke 2, from verse 46 there down all the way to 52, where he was engaged. He actually went to the temple to find out, he was asking questions and he was being trained. And I find that this was an intentional way, as much as the parents were left behind, but I believe the reason why they had gone with him to the temple is so that he can be able to learn some things in terms of his calling, and therefore the parents were able to identify what his call was, and they were intentional in training him, and therefore they exposed the baby to what, or the child to what his line of calling or his line of interest was. And therefore for us as parents, we need to train the children in the way that we would like them to walk.
Right.
And when you do so, then definitely they will become what we intend them to be.
Okay, well said. Mwai Njoroge, Principal Jabali Schools, and Allan Lawrence, who is a life coach. We've come to the end of the conversation right here on The Big Idea. Our focus today was parenting during these very uncertain times. And the conversation continues at Lookup TV on Twitter, Lookup TV on Facebook, and you can also engage with us using the SMS number 20374. I am Nancy Nalima. Thank you so much for watching.
business? Broadcast your sermon? Share birthday wishes? Make funeral announcements? Produce adverts and documentaries? Then book and advertise with us today by calling us on +254 700 893 542
700-893-542.
or email us on sales@look-up.tv.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile. And having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday. It's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Did you know the world's top icons and legends who have made history are dyslexic? Dyslexia is a learning disorder that is characterized by difficulty in reading due to problems with identifying speech sounds and learning how they relate to letters and words. Dyslexia affects areas of the brain that process language. Symptoms include delayed speech, learning new words slowly, and a delay in reading. These legends made it, and so can your child.
Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. Join the Look Up TV movement now.